everyone, so for this video I just want to go and work on a animal that will serve as one of the enemies in the game that I'm trying to build here, Datus Quest. And I just want to document how I'll try to work on the artwork. And I've already set up my canvas size here. I'm using 144 for the screen size, or the width and the height. And right now I just want to draw a sketch of that animal first, but perhaps what we can try to do is to go look for Philippines wild boar. So you would see we do have some references here, and we can try to check for which would be a good side view for this sketch here. Oh, I think I'll go with, so usually this is how I try to look at a reference, then try to just go and work on it. I think this would be a good reference. This looks good. So I'll try to work on that now. So let's try to go select our pencil tool. I'm using pencil tool and I'm maximizing the use of pixels rather than brushes. And just to make sure that it will be, you'll see it's more, because if we use the brush, sorry, let me just go put that down to, you would see it's still hard, but there are some brushes that will have some, not sure why that's, I'm using the square bracket key, so I think that's still the same with the pencil. I think I'll have to have the airbrush here something, so you see the airbrush is different. There are plenty of things that you can, or paintbrush, sorry, let's go look at, let me just drag that to size 1. You'll see it's a bit, it has some sort of anti-aliasing if you're using paintbrush, so that's why I'm using pencil. Let me just delete this, and I'm going to use my Control E, sorry, that will be Shift E to automatically transfer to this eraser tool, just to make it a lot easier for me to delete all of this. And I'm using the closing square bracket to select those. And I can now start with drawing the outline, so to have a bit of a sketch. And if you have a bit of character design background, I'm sure you are aware of the triangle of art, right? We start with the shape. We usually start with the shape, then we start with creating form, and form that doesn't spell correct, and we have what we call the details. We add the details to the artwork. So this is just a bit of this is just one of those basic concepts in drawing that you might hear or read from the community, so you can try to do further research about that. So I'll start with the shape first. I think we do see that the pig here actually contains a bit of, we can start with just basic shape first, right? If you wanted to just basically have that, then have that there, then move there, then if you wanted to just have a total sketch, and let's say we want that to be there, still have to improve my artwork also, so that's why I'm documenting most of my, I think you can just use, but I'll start with, I think I'll go start with drawing the line now. Now we can utilize this as a reference. I think we should keep this up, and then this one is going to be lighter, right? So we know that we do have But there might be some better ways on how to do this. You can just leave a comment if you think you can give some suggestions that will be helping out in improving the content that I'm working on. So let's just draw that. You can also set up some grids if you wanted to. Let's say I know that 144, if we add 36 plus 36 plus 36, 108 plus 36, that's going to be 144. So let's say we have 16 plus 16 is equals to 32. 36 divide 2, that's 18 pixels, right? Divide 2 again. So that's 9 divide 2, that's going to be 4.5 pixels. So if you want to stick with 32 or 36 as your base, we divide that with 2 again, so we get 2.25. So you can try to check out what are the common pixel sizes of pixel art or artwork out there. That might help you get to decide. But I'm going to stick with 36 by 36 here, just to have some sort of a guide for the grid. And then I'm going to go to show grid, and now I have some sort of at least I have a bit of a guide that will be giving me, I can even reduce the canvas size now based on those values, 36 by 36. So I can remove this column up here or row if I wanted to. So now let's try to go work on the nose. I think that's going to be a bit like that. So this is going to be a Philippine boar or wild boar. We call them Baboy, Ramo. And I think we can have a bit of the I think we can also put some horns, but let's stick with the design here. And let's have this as a bit there. Then we can go for the leg. I think it's a bit too big. I'll go here, then move here, and we can just adjust this. And I'm just going to press on the shift key for me to draw a straight line like that. Then let's have this part. Because this is actually a bit stretching. The image that we found is actually stretching his legs. When I was trying out how to animate a 3D model when it comes to four-legged animals walking, it was really quite challenging. And I still really need to improve on my animation skills for drawing four-legged animals, and especially how those four-legged animals will be moving. So that's walk cycle. That's usually called a walk cycle. If you haven't heard of the term. And by the way, I'm using a mouse right now, so please do bear with me. And we do have some straight lines for that poor leg, and we know that this would probably have that leg lifted up already. I think we can add a bit of okay, so I think we get that initial sketch. We can even create another one, or we can just copy this. We can group our layers here. Let's say we can have a sketch I'm sometimes pretty guilty. So you'll see we now have this basic sketch of a boar body that we can try to play around with. And I would usually have some sort of a copy first before I go and work on another part. So now let's try to work on the ears. Let's add some ears here. Let's have a bit of ears. Then we would want to have those eyes. Let's have a bit of those eyes. And then I think the ears will also have a bit of an ear here. Then I think we can have, I think that's most of the shape of the board, right? And then I think we can adjust this. Let's see, just to make it a lot easier for us to work on the ground part. Okay, so you'll see there's that part that overlaps. At least it will be easier for us to animate this if we try to play around with it. And I just use the layer to image size. We have an option to crop it to content, so that once you want to crop the content, it will be automatically cropping there, right? With the use of GIMP here. So, but I won't be doing that for the meantime. I want to stick with this size, then I can just crop it. I know that the 36 by 36 size is the size of this image. And we can even create some sort of a sprite sheet if we wanted to have the image not as individual sprites. So I think that's good for the ears. Now let's try to go work on, we can have some hair. Let's see, I think the hair will be a bit, will not be showing up too much. I'm just not sure if this is the better way to do that, right? The hairs will normally be a bit, I think there are some thin hairs down here. Sometimes it's quite challenging to draw pixel art because you need to work on the limitations of the artwork, especially depending if you want to keep on a specific size. I think this one also has another extra tail down here that I think, let me just go add a bit of shape. I think I'm going to omit that. I think I'm good with this. Or I think that's a connection. So that means that's going to be like this, because this curve. So I think if we try to plan out how this will be animated, that tail we can try to play around with that, right? And let's have some more of those hairs. But being too much detail might be making it much more difficult for you to animate it, so try to consider your timeline for whatever you're trying to work on. Shift to delete some parts just to, okay, that does it look a little, those parts there, just thinking, and that's the tail that we're trying to work on. Then what I'll do, I'll just go and copy this, copy this, move that up there, just to, so that I can go back to those parts. And then I'm just going to merge this down perhaps Now we can just try to start on coloring this. I'm just wondering what would be a good color for this. Should we stick with black or we use a different color palette? A little bit of grayish perhaps. I'm using a color palette already, so I think I'll stick with, don't want it to look like the Kiwig too much, so perhaps you can use a little bit of, color that down and sketch with color. Let's say I want to have a little bit of, or we can just directly select all. Then I think this light brown doesn't fit it. How about this dark gray? Let's just select a random one. A bit darker green. Does that look good? That doesn't look good. But let's have darker gray. Okay. Let's try to see. Let's unselect. Let's have this part and this part. Now the challenging part will be, how will you be able to create some shadows for it, right? So now let's try to, and adding some details. So let's go, select this. Fuzzy tool is U. Sometimes I have to, fuzzy tool is U. I forget the fuzzy tool. Unselect. Can you unselect with the, okay. How about none? Shift Control plus A. Okay. Shift Control plus A. Shift Control plus A. Yeah, okay. So this part is a little bit darker, but let's stick with this first. Okay, let's go here and we can just add some shadows just to make it stand out a bit. Okay, we now have that. And we can add some of those other details. I'm wondering, we can use the total, or we can just add this to the palette also. Okay. So where did that go? 3535, let's see. Oops. 4949. Okay, so we now have that palette added there, right? So this we can, for the palette notes, let me just save this. Then let's add some bits of white, not totally white, but a bit grayish part here. Right, and perhaps some parts will also have some areas here that looks like that. We can add some, we can separate this into a different layer if you wanted to, or let's just copy that. I think we can now already move that up out here and then group them differently. Let's say colored. And okay, if we wanted to at least have some sort of a bit of a separation, and this is just the initial part, so I'm just going to add some bits of lines here. So now we'll have this four have some sort of a darker line there. We can copy this just to make it, I think we can add some of this parts for the ear, but that's because it doesn't have that. I think that doesn't look good. Let's add some parts here. Then we can, I think we can add some lines. I'm not really that good with the actual estimation of the. I just go with the flow with what I like when it comes to drawing the art. I think that looks. Should we add some more ear? This part. It's the one that's there. I think that's better if you have some sort of a shadow part. Shadow. That will be more on the detail part. Then the shadow will be a bit like that, right? Add some shadows areas. So at least if you are looking for a reference, then you want to go create your own character for a game that you're building, you will be able to use GIMP here. It's a pretty cool tool. I've been using it for quite some time now. Add some parts here. The white color is still a bit, I'm still undecided with regard to that white color, but we can just try to play around with some parts first. And I'm just going to add some, just to at least have some parts here a bit darker, the bottom part, so at least we'll have separation from the front area, foreground, and the background. Let's add some of the shadows here. Also add some shadows here. Now, how will this look on the game that I'm trying to build? Let's see. We can just add some. Just going to add some of this. Then we can add some more details further on. And add some parts just to have some sort of a hairy area or section. I'm not going to fill out all of it. Just at least, right? Then also here in the face area, I think we can put some parts of the face. I'm not going to be too meticulous about it. I want to have some parts that will be a bit darkened with the shadow. And also this one, I think I'll just go with all of those. Stop some of those. I'll keep some parts that has some. Then I'm also going to have a bit of parts here. Now we have a character, an initial design for a character. Let me just select all of this. Oh, we cannot do that. I think we can select this part. Nope. I'll just do it manually. Add some sketch here. And just enjoy the free time that you have while drawing your artwork. Sometimes it's satisfying to see that some your imagination is working. So let's try to add some parts on the top here. And let's see how it will look if we try to export it to the game. I'll have some parts that's not too shadowed. The only challenge here will be, of course, how will you be able to this is a bit lighter. What happened there? And that's a challenge sometimes if you I think that's because of nope, that's not the one. What happened? I think we'll have to get the dark color, then go up here. That doesn't seem to be working. Was I drawing on the... No, that's perfectly okay. At least we have 3 colors here. I'm just not sure what happened there, why the color's a bit lighter here. Sometimes I'm just guessing things that I'm doing along the way. Especially with colors, I'm really not good with colors, guys. So right here, let's see. Okay, so perhaps I'll stick with this for the meantime. Then the next challenge will be on how to make this guy get to be animated, a walk cycle perhaps. But for now, I'll just go try to test this out. Just have to go to export as, you'll see, Baboy Ramo PNG. Now we have an export here, and then just going to go here to this animals, Baboy Ramo. Then in here, we have 100. I can set that to 144 for pixels per unit. This is a single one, so we can even have the sprite editor. We wanted to fix it to that size. I think that's possible. But for now, I don't want to utilize this, so discard. Just want to test out, but I'm going to stick it with 144. If you're working with some pixel arts, especially tile maps, you might want to set it to point and non-quality, then click on apply. But this is going to be an object that we'll have on our scene, so I'm just going to drag it up here, and I think I'll just try to reposition it. Now we have that Baboy Ramo here. Let me just go. I think we can try to increase the size of this just to make it a bit more. I'm going to increase the size a little bit. There we go. We now have a big Baboy Ramo that the player can play around with. Let's just add a collider. We can have a box collider 2D, and we can just adjust this so that it will not be, because you will see the collider is detecting the exact height of the object, so we can adjust that. Then let's try to play this. It's just loading a lot. So here I would want to, because currently what we're seeing is actually all of the windows. And if I wanted to test this out and maximize it while it's playing and without you having the need to stop this, I think I made a Unity tip for that. So let's just pause it and then change this to maximize. When I was starting out with Unity, I had to really, I discovered this play maximize and play focus, and I was always stopping it. I had to stop it and then change the two options here. That's why this is pretty cool. So now we have that Baboy Ramo there. Right. There we go. We now have another character in our game here. So I'm just going to make it now work, or perhaps adjust the where it's standing.